Michael Carrick's a great guy, he's a great footballer, but he's being labelled as too much Mr. Nice Guy. Does something have to change? And also, are Borough too predictable to play at home? We are asking both of those debates to Jonathan and Will this week. Thank you very much for joining us. AI is also going to predict all Middlesbrough's home fixtures. Let's see what the point score is and will it get you into the playoffs? More on that in a minute. And because January is so rubbish, we're flipping on its head and asking you for the worst ever Middlesbrough starting 11 of the last 20 years, starting with the goalkeeper. Thank you very much for joining us. If you haven't come across the channel before, please massively help us. We know there's tons of great Borough chat out there that you can watch, but we're looking to get to our target of 100 subscribers as quick as we possibly can, and you can help us massively do that. Right, let's have a quick chat then about that Blackburn game there. I'm sure you guys just want to forget about it and move on, Jonathan, don't you?
Yep, if that's okay. Okay. It was bloody awful, to be honest with you. It was I don't know what to say. It was lack of intent, lack of kind of leadership, just nothing happening, and you kind of knew what was going to happen. It was same old story, and you know what, defensively it was so annoying. I was watching the goal back, and cross comes in. Defended well, and the gap between defence and midfield is a good 20 yards. And you know what? And I don't want to pick players out, but I will do. There's Barlaser just meandering back, and it's not until the ball breaks that she thinks, "Oh my goodness, I better do something." There was just no awareness to say, you know what, I better get back a bit quicker and just be in that space, because if the ball drops there, we're in big trouble. And it just kind of summed it up. It was just lackluster, to be honest with you. Wasn't impressed.
That's putting it politely, Jonathan. There was a lot of anger on Twitter afterwards, after the game, Will, saying not so much the result. I don't think people care too much about beating Blackburn and going through, Will, but the application and the attitude of some players really is getting under people's skin now. Do you see that yourself?
Absolutely. I think what epitomizes Middlesbrough is hard work and effort at the very least. And to not see that, and yeah, as you said, lackluster performances, jogging around, no real intensity. It's disappointing to watch. And those fans who have gone and paid good money on a Saturday, a freezing cold Saturday, at 12 o'clock, you'd expect something. You can't always ask for a result, but you can ask for a performance which might have a mistake or two. But the least you can ask for is just effort.
Yeah. The manager always comes up with criticism, Jonathan, and I don't like calling managers out, and I think Carrick is the right person for you. But Steve says, I used to love the FA Cup, and we've gone out with not even a whimper. The honest and loyal fans are now showing their displeasure, and although we've sold out for Pompey next week, I feel he's on a game-to-game notice period now. Osborne says, and we're leading with this one, of course, we're too nice as a club. Not one person on the sideline demands anything from the players. And we've had this before, and I'm sure it is true that Carrick is such a nice guy, and he always speaks so well after the game, but I can't imagine him losing his temper with these players. Does he need to show a different side now and just come out and say, do you know what? They're doing my head in, this lot.
Yeah, I'd love for that to happen. I enjoyed the whole goal because he showed some emotion and he showed some passion. And it's hard to ignore. I mean, guy's got a football brain, clearly, and he's very intelligent when it comes to football. I have no doubt about it. And his background as a player is tremendous. But as a manager, I think you have to be able to apply yourself in different ways. And one of those is to give a rocket up the player's arse sometimes. And I like what you said. I just can't see him doing that. We went to Leeds away. Was it season before last? And we stayed over in a hotel. And we met one of the Borough staff, shall we say. And he said, yeah, Carrick just exudes calmness all around the club. It's brilliant. And you think, yes, it is, until you don't play well. And, and again, some players just need a rocket up their arse to say, get out there, show some passion, and, forward momentum, and away you go. And I'd love to see that from Carrick. And maybe he does. I could be completely wrong. I mean, we only see his interview, but it doesn't seem like he does that in the dressing room. It has to be said, looking from the outside.
Yeah, and certainly on the touchline as well, I think I will. And of course, he's sat in the most famous dressing room of all, Will, getting hairdryer treatments from the very best. So it's not like he's not had them himself. But I remember Phil Neville saying in his biography that because he's been on the receiving end, he knows how it feels to be on those receiving ends. So therefore, never used it himself as a coach. Maybe Carrick's maybe down that line as well. I'm not sure. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think 2 years now, two and a bit years, he should know the majority of the players well, and the players should know him. And he should now be saying, "Look, we're so close to promotion the last year or 2 years. We really now need to push on." And he needs to show some frustration with the players. I think he came out in an interview last week, voicing a bit of frustration in the ground with the fans and how it's not what we want because it then leads to the performance on the pitch. I'm worried it could turn slightly sour if he doesn't actually address the issues with some of the players' efforts and rather point at the fans. I don't know. It's a difficult one. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and he might be doing it. But I feel like players like McGree, who hasn't really done it the last few weeks. And some of the senior players who have been at the club for a couple of years now, so they need to take some ownership, really.
Do you think all the transfer talk, this is a question to both of you, is unsettling this side? There's so many rumours flying around Ben Doak and what's happening with him and Latte Lath, of course. Do you think when you're both connected with football, you both play and have coached, do you think that does it unsettle a team? So even if you're not one of those players, do you think it can affect performances?
I'd say, you know what, it'll be if you're not playing well and the results aren't going for you 100%. If you're getting the results, then I'm not so sure. I think results is stronger than transfer would be my kind of thinking. So if you're scoring goals, if the team's winning, if you're playing well, then yes, it's a hiccup and you don't enjoy it. But if you're a team like ours, then it's just another thing to contend with, which you could do without, to be honest with you. It's Lath's a great example of that. I mean, has his head been turned? Is it disruptive? Are other players thinking about where they could be, etc.?
Okay. One transfer I do want to talk about is Isaiah Jones. Made his way to Luton. He started at the weekend as well against Nottingham Forest. Will, were you sorry to see him go?
Not really, to be honest. I think it was the right time for the club. We all know what he's been through, his mental health issues, and he did do so well to come back at the back end of the Akpom season to contribute with a few assists and a few decent performances. But I do think that if we're really challenging for promotion, then it's probably best to maybe get a replacement now.
Yeah, I've watched a fair bit of Boro myself this season, and he's been the most frustrating player season as a neutral to watch. He seems to run with his head down all the time. Jonathan, no Middlesbrough fan's going to cry over this one, I don't think.
No, I agreed. I remember I was there with his first game when he came as a sub under Warnock against Fulham away a couple of seasons back. And I'll be honest, our first question was, who the hell's this? Never heard of him. And he just appeared, and then he went with a bang, didn't he? And that season he was under Wilder. It was like crikey, but he was going down the outside and putting crosses in, and we were scoring goals off the back of it. I remember QPR away; it was phenomenal. But he just never recaptured that, and his final ball suddenly became a problem. His passing suddenly became a problem. And even going past people, it was the preferred was the back pass to go sideways or go backwards one. He just seemed to lose that whole momentum. And I guess, like Will said, it sounds like the right time for a move for both him and the club.
Okay. Back to the Championship then we go. You're not too bothered about the FA Cup, I'm sure. But the draw wasn't fantastic either, was it, really? In terms of the next round anyway. So back to Portsmouth then we had. Here's a fixture you've not had on the Middlesbrough calendar for quite a while. Do you remember the reverse fixture of this? It was quite an entertaining one, wasn't it? Portsmouth fans certainly felt they should have won it back in August. Sadie scored 2. Conway got a 90th minute penalty. Will, looking at that Middlesbrough side on that day, how different does the Middlesbrough side of January look?
Well, immediately, Luke Ayling's not going to be playing centre-back, and I think that's a positive. I think Fry's come back in recently, and I think he's looked quite solid. Made a mistake against Cardiff the other week, but I still think he's looked quite good. Obviously, Isaiah. Hopefully Doak starting, and Lath as well. Hopefully they're both in the squad. Dieng as well. So Glover will be in goal. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's a huge improvement from that team there, but I'm quite confident. But yeah, I guess we'll just see.
Yeah, I got to say, Jonathan, our Portsmouth fans are well up for this. They need 3 points. They away from home can't do it, but at home, Fratton Park is becoming a bit of a fortress for them. It's a tight pitch. Don't pass it around the back because they'll be on you. Swansea found out to their mistake. Do you think you can win this one?
Yeah. They scored like 15 goals in their last two. Oh, no, sorry, 8 goals in their last 2 home games.
They beat Coventry, Swansea. But they both played out from the back, and of course they're very good on the press. They nick the ball off you high, and then they go and score. So you actually need to divert your own tactics here a bit, don't you? And just go a little bit more direct.
Yeah, and you know what? If we played our optimum football, and I think this against any team, even Leeds, in the Championship, if we play our optimum football, we'll beat, and we're a good match for anybody. But obviously our downside is our defensive frailties and our ability to let goals in. And I can't see us changing too much. I think Carrick's embedded in his philosophy and will encourage the team to continue to play that way. And he can just hope that the players maximise their execution and their performance. And as much as there's a question mark over Carrick, there's as much a question mark over the players' execution and their capabilities. And a good example, that team you last showed there, Morris is in it, for example. I mean, he starts all day long in that team and gives a bit of protection to the back four. There's no Ailing in the right back, fine, but centre back, he stood in because we've got injuries. I think we'd have a good chance, but I'm not sure we've got the best players to give us that best chance at this moment in time.
Okay. Before we let you go, to a couple more things, we've asked AI to predict all of Middlesbrough's home games as they run up to the end of the season. Draws closer. Here's what it had to say, guys. First of all, looking at your fixtures, apart from Leeds coming up, you've got a favourable little run, haven't you? I mean, the next 3 are important: West Brom, Sunderland, and Watford. Those 3, I mean, you need to pick up points. But after that, Derby, QPR, Oxford, Plymouth, Norwich. If you can just stay in thereabouts, your run to the end of the season is really good at home, Will, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd love to say that we're playing against teams that aren't really playing for anything, the likes of Norwich, Oxford, Derby. But with Borough, you just have no idea what could happen. They could turn up and win 4-0. They could turn up and lose 4-0. I think Leeds and Sunderland and Watford potentially could make or break the season. I think if we're serious about going up, we need to beat the teams in and around us. And we've played quite well against them. And I could say the same for the teams at the bottom of the league. It's so frustrating, and it continues to be frustrating that we just don't know which version of Borough is going to turn up.
AI, Jonathan, predicts that you'll win. You'll get 22 points. It's actually thrown an odd Sheffield Wednesday game in there that isn't. I think it's an away game, that one, rather than a home game. So it's predicted you get 19 points from them 9 games. Would you take that?
No. I mean, Will's hit the nail on the head, to be honest with you. Is you just don't know what you're going to get. And that's, what the whole point of following Borough is at the minute. That's the whole problem, is you just don't know. You can get better. And when it doesn't get delivered, it's so frustrating when the same problems come up again. And that I will lie at Carrick's doorstep to say, you know what, if you see the same problems week in, week out, you've got to have a solution. You can't just keep doing the same thing week in, week out. And so hence why I wouldn't be satisfied with 19 points. And I don't think anyone would be satisfied with 19 points, to be honest with you. That's a poor finish to the season.
What does AI know? They've never been to the Riverside anyway, have they? Finally, then this week, this month actually, it's because it's January. It's a rubbish month, so we thought we'd have a bit of fun and get together the worst starting 11 that Borough have seen in the last 20 years of the Championship and Premier League. We're starting in goal, if that's all right with you, gentlemen. So fight it out amongst you. Who's the worst goalkeeper? And please put this in the comments below. Who's the worst goalkeeper that you've ever seen in a Borough shirt? Will?
It's between 2. We could go back to Brad Guzan from the Premier League, and then Joe Lumley a few seasons ago, and I'm going with Joe Lumley. I've seen so many videos of his mistakes in a Borough shirt, and then even going off and playing for Reading and whoever else he's played with, just really, really bad.
Okay. Jonathan, can you beat that?
No, I'm sorry to do that. Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe Lumley, but I absolutely agree with Will. To me, there was only one choice. You know what? I always remember QPR away with Wilder in charge. Second half started, and I don't know, it was a minute in the second half. And he literally just passed it to one of their players, and they went up. And we were the better team that match. And yes, I think, did we get draw or win? I can't bloody remember. Anyway, we didn't get defeated that game, but Lumley just put us in the worst position ever. And you know what? Sorry to go on, but the crowd used to sing his name within he played like 2 games for us, and they started chanting his name. And I remember saying to the lads, No. He hasn't even done anything yet. Just give him a chance. Just let's you've got to earn your song. You can't just be given a song just because you play for Borough. And it came back to be true. So I'm sorry, but yeah, Joe Lumley for me is just not good at all.
Okay, I think he makes it in. Let us know if you can think of any worse than that one. Right, you two, thank you very much. Enjoy your trip to Pompey. It's a bit of a long one, that. Any Borough fans heading off on Saturday for that one, credit to you. We'll catch you both next week to review it all and chat about who the worst 2 strikers you've ever seen play for Borough in the last 20 years. There's probably quite a few you can put in there. Thank you very much for watching. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't done already. Help us get to 100. We massively we'll take our cap off to you. And thank you very much. Enjoy your football this week. Come on, the Borough.